So last time we were talking about your stunt work, and I wanted to know how your training and your diet affected your work as a stuntman.
Well, I don't think it's any accident that we don't really have stunt schools in Canada. Just people come into the stunt business. They're either grandfathered in because their father or their mother was a stunt performer, or they come in from other athletic pursuits. So you're coming in as an athlete already, and those are the only people that really thrive and really last in the business because they already have an idea of regimented training. They know the importance of diet. They know the importance of injury management and stuff like that. So I came in, my foot in the door for stunts was as a professional wrestler. But I had also, by that point, done mixed martial arts in Japan. I'd done powerlifting and strongman, top 3 in the country in both of those. So I already had a good idea of what I needed to do. And so it was basically just par for the course for me. There wasn't really a huge adjustment with regards to, okay, I'm doing stunts now, I have to make these alterations.
Right.
I was maintaining my body the same way I would as a fighter or as a pro wrestler or whatever. Proper diet. I never had the knowledge of diet that you have, which is exactly why I hire you when I need to get dialed in. But I knew the basics, the foods I could eat, shouldn't eat, how to train, how to stay flexible, how to manage my injuries, stuff like that.
Because that job it's so physically demanding. I mean, it must require so much maintenance just to be able to stay active in it.
Well, it's funny because there are times that people on set who find out what the base rate is for a stunt performer. And it can, depending on the job you do on the day, the paycheck can be very healthy. For instance, there's a building not far from here, the Level building on Seymour Street. I fell off of that a few times one day, and that was a very good paycheck.
Is that the one with the rope that I saw you falling?
Yes.
Down? Okay. Yeah. That was amazing.
I fell into the pool outside. That was 20 stories. That's a healthy day. So people will sometimes look at a day like that, or more importantly, look at a simple day where we're just doing a fight scene and say, well, he's making more money than I am, and I'm here for 12 hours, pulling cable or whatever. Right. And they have a point to an extent, but we're subcontractors. So it's not just that we're being paid for that day. We're being paid for all the work we have to do in training. We're being paid for all the medical expenses that we're on the hook for.
Right.
We're being paid for our equipment. Like if you hire a plumber, they don't expect you to have all the tools ready for them when you get to their house. They've got them there. They had to buy those tools. And if you see a stunt performer's stunt bag that's just sitting over there on set, that thing could have $10,000, $20,000 worth of equipment in it easily.
Okay.
So all that stuff together, there's definitely a lot more involved in being a stunt performer than people realize. And maintenance is a very, very, very big thing.
Okay, so for that stunt where you fall off the roof, like, would you bring all your own cables and harnesses and stuff like that?
Well, they would handle, obviously, they have riggers.
Stuff,
shout out to Claude Bouchard for keeping me alive that day. He was the key rigger. But I would be responsible for my own harness.
Okay.
So that means I have to maintain it. If I'm slipping on maintaining my harness and it breaks and I die, so I have to keep my equipment up. And whatever equipment is involved in just on my person, but the crane and the cables and stuff like that would be on the rigging team.
Okay. I had no idea that you were in charge of all your own equipment at all.
Yeah, it's an expensive pursuit. Maintenance is, and that's a big deal. Is that needs to be factored in when people look at what stunt performers do. It's like there are days when we show up and we got a really easy job. I'm going to drink this coffee and then somebody's going to slap it out of my hand, and that's technically the stunt for the day.
Right.
I'm being overpaid for that day, but I'm also being underpaid for days when I'm hitting the ground 15 times in the freezing cold at 2 o'clock in the morning and I'm only wearing my underwear.
Right.
So it evens out. And we're basically our own bosses that subcontract our services out to the production.
Okay. What about that? I can't remember what the role was for, but you've posted it a few times where you had the black suit on and you had the little dummy guy and you're smashing him.
Oh yeah, that got memed like crazy, man. That's been memed like 50 times.
I've seen this so many times. It's awesome.
I say it's so funny that the internet now has made it possible to be an incredibly famous, unfamous person. Like nobody knows who I am, but everybody's seen that meme. Yeah, that was a motion capture job. So, in motion capture for video games or for TV effects or visual effects. In this case, that was for the Superman and Lois TV show.
Right, okay.
And I was playing Doomsday, who's the second biggest Superman villain ever behind Lex Luthor.
Wow.
Yeah, Doomsday beat Superman to death at one point. So
that's cool.
That was a very important role. The guy was very happy to get it. but we were doing the motion capture for that. And so the Doomsday that incarnation of Doomsday, he's like 12 feet tall. So that little dummy that looked like a little ventriloquist dummy, that was replicating 6 foot tall Superman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so that was just me smashing them all over the place. And that was for the season finale of season 3.
Oh,
where they debuted it, and they had a huge battle scene between Superman and Doomsday.
And is that the one where Superman dies?
He did die, yeah.
Okay.
But it's a comic book, so
right. So he comes back to life.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody comes back.
Okay, it was so neat to watch that. Like, how physically demanding was that? How many times did you have to do that?
Well, it was funny because and again, this comes down to maintenance, because at this point, like, I'm 56 now. I think I was 55 at the time. And my best walking around weight is between 230 and 240. But I like to get up to, like, right now I'm around 250. I like to get my weight up when I'm chasing strength goals, which I was at the time. So I weighed about 270 at that time. And I got the job, but when I was told just before I left for Japan for a vacation, Rob Hader, the stunt coordinator, he told me, he said, look, dude, if you want to audition for this, it's good, but I'm just going to tell you right now, it's a very grueling job. It's going to require constant physical exertion all day long. And so, know that going in. And, because Rob wouldn't have even felt the need to say that to me 10 years ago, but he gets it now. We've known each other a long time. I'm getting long in the tooth. I had just torn a hamstring not too long previously. He partially tore it. So he said, look, if you think you're ready for this, I'll let you audition, but just so you know what you're getting into. So again, having a good knowledge of maintenance, I'm in Japan while drinking is a big part of Japanese culture, and I'm seeing all my pro wrestling fans over there. So we're drinking every night. Yeah. But I made sure that I did 2 things every day. I would do DDP yoga, which is my go-to for flexibility. And also there's something called the O2 trainer. It's a breathing device that Boss Rutan, the UFC champion, invented. And the cool thing about being friends with Boss is whenever he invents something new, he sends it to me to be guinea pig. So I get him for free and I get him first. That's awesome. So I've had an O2 trainer since hit the market, and that is the one breathing device I've ever used, above training mask, above everybody, that really works well. Okay. So I just made sure to hit those 2 things. I'll do like half-hour DDP yoga, and I'll do my O2 trainer exercises every day in Japan. Yeah. And because I knew how to do maintenance under those limited circumstances, then when I got back, even Rob was kind of staring at me during the audition because they were putting me through my paces and I'm sweating buckets and stuff. But I'm like 265 pounds. I'm breathing hard and I'm sweating, but they kept offering me breaks and I kept saying, no, I'm good. Yeah. I was like, seriously? Oh, yeah, let's keep going. And so it really, as the old saying goes, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Right. And so a good stunt performer knows that you need to keep yourself in condition. So when somebody says, hey, I got like 20 days on this feature film, can you do it? You don't have to tell them, well, can you give me a month to get in shape? Because they can't. You just have to always be ready. Yes. So the O2 trainer, what does that do? It works your inspiratory muscles. So all the muscles in your midsection that control drawing breath in. Because your lungs don't expand themselves. Right. They're just empty bags. But the inspiratory muscles expand your lungs so the air can come inside. So this specifically targets all the muscles that are in charge of opening your lungs up, and it makes them stronger. It's exactly the same as going to the gym. Just as if you're doing bicep curls at the gym, well, you're putting a little more load on it every time, and the body behaves accordingly. It's like, oh, we need this to be stronger. We need this to do its job better. And the O2 trainer so far has been the absolute #1 breathing device to do that. I think is 3 independent universities have assessed it and all come back with like 5-star ratings. Oh, like, wow. This thing is absolutely legit. People are curing asthma with it. Like I said, my only cardio at 270 pounds with a belly full of alcohol half the time was the O2 trainer. And then I'm coming back and smoking this Doomsday audition. So it really, anybody who's got breathing trouble or wants to enhance their cardiovascular strength and be a better athlete or anything, man, full disclosure, Boss is a friend of mine, but I don't endorse things that my friends do if they suck. Right. And I can tell you from personal experience, like, nobody's getting my O2 trainer off me. That thing is mine for life. So do you use it while you're doing cardio, or you just use it? It's funny, initially, and Boss is a freaking evil genius, too. I think he's a legit genius, actually. He tested his IQ, and I think it was 1 point above genius threshold, which for somebody who punches people in the face for a living is quite remarkable. But initially, he was recommending that, and I was doing that. Boss also has a cardio routine that I do, the Boss Rutan MMA workout. Okay. So I got that app, and I was doing it with the O2 trainer in my mouth. And then Boss called me up, and he said, yeah, I was thinking, like, shouldn't have to have it in your mouth the whole time. It's kind of awkward thing having this. It's about the size of a snorkel mouthpiece.
Okay.
But it's awkward having it in your mouth all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so he did some more work with people who know this stuff and know respiratory fitness. And he developed this set of exercises. So now it's less than 5 minutes a day.
Oh.
You do one set of 30 reps, doing it the way that is detailed on the O2 Trainer website, o2trainer.com. And that's it. 5 minutes a day and your work is done.
So, but you're just sitting there doing the breathing exercises.
Yes.
It's not, okay. You're not doing anything else physical with it.
You sit down in a chair, you do the exercises. The O2 Trainer has 15 different settings of how difficult it makes it to pull air in. So as your lungs get stronger, you go to filters that have a smaller and smaller hole to let air in.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That would be really helpful for like people that can't work out for whatever reason, if they're like to get healthier, or in the hospital or something like that.
Yeah, and it's not just breathing more freely. It's your cardiovascular fitness is good.
Right.
Like I said, I had to run and stomp around and scream and throw things and stuff like that. So I was working.
Yeah. And
I hadn't done anything like that for 2 weeks, but I was killing it. So it's like that thing is definitely next level.
That's amazing. So the audition process was very rigorous, but the actual shooting of the scene, how was that?
Was also very rigorous.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Oh yeah, it was all day. That's why they made the audition so grueling, because I think it was like an hour and a half of just constant effort, because they said, look, you're going to get breaks, but if you get this job, it's like all day. It's a full work day of screamy smashy. So
so it's like that little clip that keeps playing like all day long.
Dude, we did that probably 10 times. And then there was all kinds of other scenes where I'm doing exactly the same kind of thing and screaming. But I was completely, that is one thing about motion capture work. It can be really strenuous. Yeah. And I go back to the old days where my first motion capture job was on an EA video game called Marvel Nemesis Rise of the Imperfects. And that was in 2002.
Okay.
When the technology was much more primitive. So they had to shoot more takes and they had to do it a different way. And a lot of stunt performers were turning down motion capture jobs because every single game, you'd be sitting in the parking lot afterward just praying for death, like just completely wrung out.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember my old tag team partner from when I was pro wrestling, Akiva Moss. He and I did Def Jam wrestling.
Okay.
And we were both literally like sitting on one of those little concrete stoppers in the parking lot with our heads in our hands, just two shattered men at the end of the day.
Oh my God.
It's not that bad now because the technology's evolved, and also because the people who make the games, back in the day, they just didn't understand physical limitations.
Okay.
Because they were all number crunchers. Computers and making video games was their thing. They weren't athletes.
Yes.
So they would just think nothing of asking you to do 15 takes of one move and doing that all day long. It's like, dude, I need to save my energy.
They have no common sense when it comes to physical.
Well, it's just not their thing. It'd be like me asking me to do their job. I'd start bleeding from the ears.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay.
So that, when it was impressed upon them, like we have finite physical resources. Yeah. We need to ration them out accordingly. I remember one game I was playing the Incredible Hulk. I think the game was called Hulk. And that was the first time I just walked over to the table and I said, we have 11 minutes till 5 o'clock. Yeah. That is exactly how long you have me for. I am running on fumes right now. So if you need something, you get it now. Because at 5 o'clock, I am freaking done. I don't care what you tell me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because so that little clip is so funny to watch because he's just like smashing that whole thing. So, wow, that's actually that's so impressive to think that was all day long, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. That was a full day of that. But that's one of the cool things about motion capture is it really forces you to flex your acting muscles because you do have to imagine things.
Right.
Like that was, it looked like a crash test dummy that's about 3 feet tall. But that was supposed to be Tyler Hoechlin, the guy who plays Superman. Oh. So I got to put that in my head as I'm smashing Tyler.
Yeah.
Which is an easy thing to envision because he's so much better looking than me and I will never stop hating him for it. Yeah, I said it, Tyler.
But you look like you're trying to kill him. You
yeah,
really
well,
do.
that's the thing. And you need to imagine your surroundings because you're in a motion capture stage where, if we were shooting a movie in this studio right here, this table is supposed to be a table in the movie. This is supposed to be a microphone. But you have to imagine all this stuff if it's a motion capture stage.
Okay.
Yeah, so like I did 6 years playing Gears, Marcus Phoenix in the Gears of War series, and there was a lot of that. We fought a lot of demons and locusts, and you had to put it in your head. This is what we're facing right now, and then act accordingly.
That's really cool. Yeah. Nice. And so when you're filming something like that is so rigorous, like what was your diet like throughout the day? I
like to stay. We talked about this earlier. Yeah. It's not particularly healthy, but I like to keep
right. Yes.
yeah, I like to keep carbohydrates low. I don't know if it's because I'm more endomorphic, like I have a slower metabolism. I don't know why it feels better for me. But in the short term, if I eat the wrong kind of carbs, I bloat up.
Right.
And I feel like I ate a brick.
Mm-hmm.
And I never feel like that if I'm on very low carbs. So for a day like that, I will have some carbohydrates, absolutely. But I wait until I feel like I need them.
Okay.
And again, that comes down to experience, where when I start flagging, my energy is getting a little bit lower. I feel my blood sugar coming down.
Yeah.
I'll eat some carbs then, and otherwise I'll just stay with mainly protein.
Okay.
And caffeine. Lots of caffeine.
Well, that's smart. Like when you feel to respond accordingly with your blood sugar. That's good.
Yeah. And it's funny, when I started training, like way back in the 80s, I remember people talking about instinctive training. And to me, it seems like such a foreign concept, hearing somebody say, oh, I just train instinctively. I go in the gym and decide whatever. And I'm like, that was almost like somebody saying, yeah, I'm just psychic. I just predict what's going to happen, because I had no frame of reference.
Right.
So it's so cool now. Like, and from experience, it's like when you've spent so many years working and trying to find ways to better your physique, and you're really learning how your body responds to everything. And also, you stay conscious of how it changes. What my body responds to now is not what it would have responded to 10 years ago, maybe even 5.
Yeah. Or even last year.
Yeah. So now it's really cool. It's one thing I really love about training now, is that I just walk in the gym and decide, sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to work out before I get there. If I got a powerlifting contest coming up, it's different. It's far more regimented, but just for day-to-day training, like I did heavy squats yesterday. That's normally something you plan for and you work your way up to, and your diet's right. I just went in and did it.
You always do that. You're always like, yeah, I just squatted 500 pounds. Like,
it's
no big deal.
But I like that. It's like I don't have a squat day. I've got I feel like it day, and so it's a good place to be in. Once you've trained for a certain amount of time, that's kind of the payoff. Is then you can just go in and relax and like, okay, well, I know I'm going to get good results no matter what I do, because I'm in tune with my body and what I need to do.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is the best, when you can just go with how your body's feeling and go with the flow. That's the best type of training ever. I mean, I don't really think about what I'm doing, and I just go there and do what I want. But I mean, I'm usually working towards some kind of goal, and like I'll go along with that. But
well, in your case, it's more specific. Like I've always been a strength athlete.
Yes.
Aside from the times I'm working with you, in which case I let you do all the thinking. But if I'm in charge, it's geared solely towards strength and mass building, mass muscle. So that's got a lot more latitude. You need to be. True. I learned from working with you and just having no freaking idea what you were doing half the time. Yeah. Christine's telling me to do this. And I'm like, why? Like where, how did she even come to that decision? But okay, I'll do it. And then it works every single time. So yeah, I saw how meticulous the dietary alterations are. What a balancing act it is. You got to keep like 7 or 8 plates spinning, and they see, okay, that one's spinning a bit slower. So I'm going to take this plate down and I'm going to spin that one a bit quicker. And it all kind of ties together. So it's much more unforgiving when you're doing physique.
That's a good point. Yeah, because I think this comes from my own fucked upness. Is like I always wanted to just train to look good. Strength is a byproduct.
Well, everybody wants to train to look good. Even I do, and I'm a powerlifter.
Like I was like, I don't care if I'm super strong. I just wanted to, like, if I wanted to change my physique, right? And so it's always been physique based, but you do get stronger, obviously, and then at certain points you're way stronger. But and it's fun when when you're really strong and you can train hard. But,
hell yeah!
Yeah, it's like nothing's more fun than that.
That's
right?
my favorite.
Yeah, but I do like to. I mean, I do definitely do a whole bunch of different exercises to shape my body, and that's like what's in my mind, like how I want to shape everything. That's always in my head when I'm training. Like
it blew me away the first time I did any kind of physique training. It was way back in I think the 90s. The late Gary Dietrich, who was a Canada Cup pro bodybuilding winner, I got him to do my routine, and it was all very high reps. Yeah, very limited breaks in between, and he put my diet together too, and it was all very regimented. Yeah. It was the first time I ever did a routine like that. Yeah, and I do not have bodybuilding genetics. I got short muscle bellies and a wide waist and stuff like that. So I reconcile myself. Okay, well, I'm never really going to look that great. And then I'm watching, like, where did this quad sweep come from? Right. Why does my waist look narrower even though it's wide as hell? And it's really crazy how much if you do put all the ducks in a row, with the alterations you can make in any kind of physique.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about it, is that you can make your waist look smaller if you build up your lats and your quads. And also probably you did a lot of high reps because that's how what your body needed, right? Like I never did like really high reps. Like I usually stay within like 8 to 10. That's a good amount for me. But I have people I'm working with now that like they need to do higher reps because they put on muscle so easily. And it's like they don't even need to be on a lot of food. They'll just like gain muscle if they're training hard. So it's really individual, right?
Yeah, I always envied the guys like one of my favorite powerlifters, Doug Furness, or Dave Passanella, my original hero of powerlifting. They were both guys that had big, thick, rugged physiques, but they looked good. Doug Furness looked like a bodybuilder. He looked like an off-season bodybuilder. And these are guys who are squatting 1,000 pounds and benching 600 pounds. They were training for strength, but they still look good. I envied that so much because I always have to pick a side.
Is the what was that guy's name that was with Dawn? Dawn Allison.
Doug Young.
Doug Young.
He was another one.
Yeah.
That dude just was gonna look good no matter what. He's gonna fill out in all the right areas. He had the big muscle bellies, and all he did was power lift. He didn't train for physique, but he had one.
He just had the genetics, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really independent, but you're right. You could like completely mold your body in a different way with or without the genetics. You know?
It might mean a little bit more work. It might mean finding somebody like yourself who knows what they're doing to guide you down the right path. But I mean, 2019, I was 51 years old, and you got me an 8-pack and a Christmas tree in the back, and just completely like for the first time, I looked like a damn underwear model, which is not the look that I usually rock. So if you want to put in the extra work and find the right people, even if your body's not like I was never going to be a successful competitive bodybuilder, it doesn't mean I can't look like a bodybuilder.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I think people get stuck in. They're like, oh, this is my body type. It can't change. It's like, no, it's because you are doing the wrong training. You're doing like eating the wrong foods. Anybody's body can change. Like, I mean, there's a limit within, obviously it's like you're not going to, certain people are not going to be able to go on to the Olympia stage or, become like a bikini looking person, like they'll be with limits within what they can do. But there's a huge range in between that where they can go.
Well, that's just it. And it's, everybody compares themselves.
Right.
And it was bad. I was bad for it in the 90s when it was just the magazines, like Flex Magazine and Muscle Mag and Muscle and Fitness. And you got to realize that is the top 1% of the top 1%.
Yes.
So, okay, maybe I can't be there. Very few people can be there. But if I chase that and I get halfway to that, I'm going to look awesome because that guy's a freak.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing with strength now. Now that internet's just completely made information so much more easy to access. I mean, in 1991, I set a Canadian junior deadlift record at 600 pounds. And now I can turn online and see numerous women, Denise Herbert or Tamara Walcott, deadlifting over 600 easily in training.
Yeah.
But that's the way the game's evolved. I can get down on myself because, my best deadlift's only 633. Tamara pulled 640 and she's a woman. Yeah. All right. I still pulled 633 pounds.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And it's one of my good friends, Ryan Matthew, one of the strongest people I've ever met in my life. Like we're talking about genetics. This guy was born to be crushingly strong. Like he scares people when he trains with the amount of weight he uses in the gym. And he is always the first guy to congratulate people. If somebody says, somebody's talking about having a 3-plate bench, and then they said, yeah, but today, that really ain't much. And Ryan said, do you understand if you walk into most gyms in the world, most of the gyms in the world, if you put 3 plates on the bar, people will stop and stare.
Yeah.
Like it's okay, numerically, there's a lot of people out there who can bench 3 plates or more for reps very easily. Yeah. You see them online all the time, but percentage-wise, you are in a microscopic fraction of the population. You've joined an elite club. And this is a guy who can curl 315 pounds.
Oh, wow.
But even he is always telling people, like, dude, you don't understand. When you pass a certain level, and it's not really that far down the road, you've entered into elite territory.
Yeah. And some people are just naturally really strong, like freaks of nature strong.
Oh,
like,
my God. I hate those people so much.
I know this girl, like I don't know her that well, but I know her, a little bit. And she is very small. I think she's like 5'4" maybe. She was in her 20s at the time I'm talking about. And she was training for a bikini competition. And so she was she looks more like a little bit more wellness, she had a little bit more muscle, but like a small girl, right? Not hugely muscular or anything. She was deadlifting 500 pounds like nothing.
Oh my God.
She would just like walk up like, with her big ponytail, like looking all cute and just like deadlift it. And like, she's just naturally super fucking strong. And I went to this one gym in Detroit, it was a powerlifting gym, and it was so fucking cool because there was the crowd was so eclectic. Like there was like there's this one guy, he looked like he was some young Russian kid. He was wearing like a onesie, and he would, was deadlifting, I think might have been 800. I could be wrong. Or maybe it was 600. But he was deadlifting a lot of weight. He just like walk up, and then he was training with this guy who looked like he could have been a homeless guy. I don't know, like that. But I was his training partner. They were both very nice, but same thing. This guy just walks up. He looks like he just drank a beer, and deadlifts the same weight. And I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah, those are the real gyms. Those are the places I'd like to go. Like the late lamented Forza Barbell, which is no longer open here in Vancouver, but we had that kind of gym.
Yeah.
We had guys, we had women, we had we had HIV positive people who we knew were. Their blood tests got better for training there.
Yeah.
We had special needs kids that would come in once a week and train with Mike Pantile, and they were like, it was so cool to watch all this array of all these races and persuasions and mental states and all that stuff, and everybody was getting better together.
Yeah.
It's the best environment when you have a gym like that where nobody cares. Like, I don't care what you are. I don't care what you sleep with. I don't care what your religion is or what if your brain doesn't work properly. Who cares? Let's lift.
Yeah, that's what this gym was. It was so cool. Detroit has some really cool gyms. I was like, oh man, I just stay there. And there's also the very first powerhouse.
Oh, the first powerhouse was in Detroit.
In Detroit,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. It's like all brick and like weird carpet on the ground, and like everyone's hardcore.
Man, there's I really wish I could have gone to the old Zoover's gym. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but the handle on the door was a 200-pound dumbbell.
Oh, cool.
The door was specifically weighted so you could pull it, but the handle was a 200-pound dumbbell. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And the stories coming out of that place. You'd walk in the lobby. It was all, when they poured the concrete, they put a bunch of plates in it. So the plates are set into the concrete. You're walking on plates to get to the gym.
That's so cool.
Yeah. The one thing I really loved is, and I wish we had this in every gym, the squat rack had a theater rope around the area outside it.
Nice.
Like at a club.
Yeah,
the velvet rope. Yeah. So you'd close the velvet rope so people wouldn't wander up while you were doing it. And then if you hit up, and you have to walk up some steps, like 3 steps to get into the squat rack.
That's awesome.
And if you set a PR, they had an air horn that was set off. And it was like the opposite of a lunk alarm. It's like a good version of the lunk alarm.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So like it's gym. I love finding eclectic gyms like that.
Yeah, they're the best. Where was that one?
That was in California, I believe. Yeah, Superstar Billy Graham, the WWF guy, the pro wrestler, he apparently walked in there and they had a lat pull down machine.
Yeah.
But you had to start at like 200 pounds or something because there wasn't a weight stack.
Yeah.
The cable went over the pulley and down, and there was a ship's anchor. A 200-pound ship's anchor. So that's what you started with. And then you would put plates on the anchor if you wanted to go heavier.
Oh my gosh.
And as the story I heard was that he got a straight bar to do his lat pull downs with. And he locked himself into the seat, and he put so much weight on it that he couldn't move the weight, but he bent the bar into a horseshoe. So they hung it on the wall and put his name on it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Oh, that sounds like a great gym.
Yeah, well, if I had a time machine, I'd be going back to gyms like that.
Oh my god! You know what? Other gym I loved was Gold's in Venice.
I did, but then the last time I went there, they charged me like $40 to train. It's like it's ridiculous now.
Oh, it just had. I loved it. I just had such great energy and vibes. I mean, I only trained there a couple of times, or maybe like 3 times, but it was just like I just love the energy of the people.
Well, it's
training.
The same kind of thing. You're with your people.
Yeah.
So I remember I was like, I walk in there and I have no problem acknowledging I'm not the strongest guy or the biggest guy in the room at all. And so I love going into rooms where everybody's better than me because it's inspirational.
Yes, yeah.
And so when I go to Gold's Venice, it's like that. And this freaking huge check. Like he must have been a pro. It's just I don't keep up with who all the pros are.
Probably, yeah. There's lots of
that
pros
level of
there.
physique. And he's like, dude, you're looking pretty big. And not in a condescending way. He's like, dude, and then he starts talking to me about training and stuff. Like, I've never met this guy before. And I'm not the most approachable guy when you first see me either. So I freaking love this place.
Well, that's what I found is everyone was so friendly. Yeah. Like so many people came over and started talking to me. And I was like in there by myself. I'm like, this is cool. I want to live in this gym. Like,
well, I think there is a connection there where even if you see somebody you don't know, if they're obviously training and they're at Gold's, first of all, if there's somebody in Gold's and you haven't seen them there before, they have deliberately sought that out.
Right.
And they don't call Gold's the Mecca for nothing. It means that I'm devoted to training and I went out of my way to make sure I'm coming to this gym right here. This is how much I love. So, okay, right now I know you love bodybuilding or powerlifting right away. And also just the fact that anybody who trains hard, if they're showing any kind of visible muscle at all, they have earned something that you can't get for free. You can't inherit it. You can't have somebody loan it to you.
Yeah.
You can't win the lottery and get it.
Yes.
Yeah. So that shows you to be a certain kind of person, and that's my kind of person.
Yes.
It's like we can earn our shit.
Totally. It's like I recognize, you know,
exactly.
that there's that thing for sure, right? And that was one of the things I loved about Gold is because they had so many different pieces of equipment. So for like a bodybuilder and a physique competitor wanting to mold your body, I was just like, oh my God, this is like
toys to play with.
Yeah, it was like Disneyland. I was like, oh, I'm going to stay here forever. It was amazing.
I felt the same way when I went out to Signal Hill in California to meet C.T. Fletcher, which
is that where C.T. Fletcher works?
That's his gym.
Oh, that's
the Iron Addicts gym in Signal Hill, and it's a. To put it bluntly, it's a ghetto gym.
Yeah.
It's a great gym.
I love gyms like that, though.
All the stuff you want is in there,
Yeah.
but it's a, and I mean that in the best possible way, man. You don't go there if you got thin skin or intentions of not training.
Okay.
So I went in there to meet CT, and I didn't realize he had just had his most recent heart attack at that point. So he's great now. You know, shout out to CT Fletcher. I freaking love that guy. But I'm like, okay, well, I may as well work out. You know, CT's not here. I may as well work out. So a stranger named David Ruiz let me work in with him because the benches were all full and stuff. But while I was there, David said, if you're in the area and because I told him I like checking out gyms like this. I love this place. And he said, good. He said, yeah, this is my gym. But he said, if I were to recommend that you also check another place, go check out Metroflex in Long Beach.
Okay.
Now, I'd only heard of the Metroflex that Ronnie Coleman trains at in Texas.
Okay.
So I went to Metroflex Long Beach and I still love Iron Addicts. This is not, but it was just a different kind of place.
Yeah.
And I practically heard a choir of angels in my head when I walked in. It's just, oh my freaking God. Dumbbells up to 200 pounds that did not have dust or cobwebs on them. It was a monolith. They had a whole side of the gym was just powerlifting equipment, monoliths and deadlift platforms and proper squat bars and stuff. Like, oh, dude, I'm moving in here right now.
Oh, I love the gyms like that.
Yeah.
That was the thing. That was like the thing I liked about Detroit was the powerhouse and this other one. I can't remember the powerlifting gym. I can't remember the name of it. They were so different, and they're so different vibes. Like the powerhouse was like pro bodybuilders, and the other one was like the eclectic group of misfits, but they were all so like strong and awesome, right? But they had. Both the gyms were just equally as awesome, but they were just completely different.
Yeah, just different things. Like if I were to go for, if I just want to go train arms or chest or something, I might go over to Metroflex because they got more toys to play with. But then if I'm going to set a PR, if I'm going to do a heavy squat that might kill me and set a PR, I'm going Iron Addicts. Because there's a bunch of barbarian animals in there that are going to be screaming in my face and getting my adrenaline going and my blood boiling. And the atmosphere is so great. So
I love that. You need to have that vibes going. That's the whole thing.
And that's one thing about Iron Addicts, man. Like there's some gyms where some days the vibe, it's like a nightclub. Sometimes the vibe is good, sometimes it isn't. I don't think you ever walk in Iron Addicts and the vibe's not right. You are there to train, and they will kick you out on your ass if you don't. So.
I don't know of any gyms down in the Vancouver area that are like that right now.
I like Hidden City.
Okay, I haven't been to the new one.
It's a little bit more laid back than that. It's not as aggressive, but people show up there to work.
Okay.
And it's got all the good stuff. That's where I'm doing all my heavy squats at Hidden City now.
Okay.
And it's so cool that Nico DeFeo, the owner, he's found that sweet spot where it's like, you're an ultra hardcore barbarian son of a bitch, and he's got all the strongmen go there every Saturday and just tear the place apart.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah, like all the competitors, you got barbarian, caveman, Highlander looking guys lumbering around throwing stones and stuff like that. But at the same time, the atmosphere is still very accommodating to other people.
Yes.
The other day, I held the door for a lady, and she had a double-decker stroller with her newly born twins that were born 3 months ago. And she's in the gym, and she chose Hidden City to come back and start training again. Yeah, and not just getting past the respect I have for her for getting right back on the horse and training again, but she felt welcome there too.
So is it similar to the old Hidden City then? Did you ever go to the one Nico's first Hidden City gym?
No, its current place on Hastings Street. That's the first time I ever went in.
Oh, okay. Because I worked at.
Oh, okay.
Like I worked there. during COVID. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but it's past
Dude,
COVID.
we kept Forza Barbell open every single day.
So I was because I was like, I went there to work out one day, and then Nico's like, hey, do you want to like train people out here? And I was like, sure. And so I was working there and training there at the old Hidden City that was on like East Hastings, and it was like in the back alley, kind of in like Hastings and Maine. So you have to go down the alleys where like the crackheads are and stuff. Yeah, totally sketchy.
Yeah, for people who aren't from Vancouver, Hastings and Maine is the ghetto of the ghetto of the ghetto.
Right? So you go and you're like literally walking down past the crackheads or I think they're waiting for methadone or something. Either way. And then you go inside the gym, and the gym was super cool. It was pretty small, but like it had a great vibes, great energy. And even with the restrictions for, during COVID, there was certain things that were going on, but it had a very welcoming atmosphere to everyone. And so there was hardcore people, and there was also just like regular people.
And the best hardcore gyms are like that. Like if you go in there and you're going to complain because the big nasty man over there is screaming and making me triggered, okay, well, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
But if you're just in there to train, then the big nasty man over there is probably inclined to come over and help you if you ask him. And
that's the thing.
I still remember before my first 3-lift powerlifting contest in 1990, my bench was extremely weak. I had to work really, really hard to get my bench press up. So at this point, it was very, very weak. I was thinking I was shooting for like a 235, 245 bench in the contest. So I'm going to do my last bench press workout before the contest. This dude named Bob Wilson, who was a very credentialed power lifter at the time, because there's a big powerlifting crew. This is at Popeye's gym in Kitchener, where I'm from. And Bob's walking by, never met me before. And he looks at me and he goes, do you mind if I give you some technique tips? Which is code for your technique is trash.
You suck.
Your technique is such fucking garbage. I was like, yeah, sure, man, because I knew who Bob was.
Yeah.
So he gave me some technique tune-ups, and the next week I benched 285.
Wow.
When I was targeting maybe 245.
Okay.
Just from the technique alterations. The big scary man ended up coming over and putting another 45 pounds on my bench in 5 minutes.
Wow.
Because that's the atmosphere there. And at the time, even though I just started powerlifting, I wasn't muscular. I just looked like just another kid training there. But he went out of his way for me. And the hardcore gyms, that doesn't mean everybody's intimidated coming in and you got to fight for your spot in the gym. No, it means the opposite. It means we're serious. And if you're serious too, we don't care your level at all.
That's what I found about all the hardcore gyms is that everyone, people are so friendly and welcoming and encouraging to everyone, beginners and, really enthusiasts, like really hardcore competitors.
That's why I'm careful calling Hidden City a hardcore gym, because I don't want to give people the wrong impression. It's got all the elements of a hardcore gym. And it's for fighters, they got jiu-jitsu and kickboxing upstairs and boxing upstairs too. But it's such a welcoming atmosphere. Everybody can go there. Some people get intimidated by the look of it. It looks like a hardcore place, but nobody is browbeaten in that place at all.
I really do need to get over there. I keep saying that for the last 2 years.
They'd love to have you,
telling Nico I'm going to go over there, and I haven't. Okay, well, this is it. I'm coming. But you know what I want to get to before we, because we can just keep talking about gyms forever. I know we can.
Nobody wants to hear another 3 hours of gym talk.
No, but I really want to get into is you have a podcast coming up.
Yes.
Called When We Were Bouncers.
That's right.
And based on the books you wrote.
Yes.
And so tell me about it.
That was an idea that started around 2009.
Okay.
And I was a bouncer on and off for over 20 years. I had my first bouncing job in 1989. And that was always how I kept the wolf from the door, as I was trying to make it as a pro wrestler, fighter, powerlifter, all that stuff. And after a while, I was thinking, I wonder why you never see a TV show or a movie project based on bouncers, because we've got insane stories. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous stories. And then I realized what it was is that nobody likes bouncers. Like, the audience needs to connect. And like, oh, I got this show about bouncers. And like, well, why, a bouncer kicked me in my face yesterday. Or they wouldn't let me in and they let that other guy in. Or they said my shoes weren't right. Or, and so stuff like that. It took the beer away from me at the end of the night. Banned me for a week. But people associate negative interactions with bouncers. So that I guess that's why, because I had heard rumors of Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel trying to get bouncer-related projects going. There's Noah Danby, the actor from Eastern Canada. He actually shot a proof-of-concept pilot, and it didn't take off, and it was good.
Okay.
So then I realized, well, hang on. I've moved through a lot of different types of circles. I've been a professional fighter at the world level. I've been a powerlifter strongman. I've been a professional wrestler all over the world. I've been an actor. I've been a stuntman. All these people that I've been rubbing shoulders with, a bunch of them must have been bouncers.
Right.
So I started reaching out to them because that's the hook. It's like, okay, well, maybe I don't like bouncers, but I'm a WWE fan and I love Shayna Baszler. Shayna used to be a bouncer. I want to hear her stories.
Okay.
You know, maybe I'm a Sons of Anarchy fan. I like Theo Rossi. Well, Theo Rossi's in the first book.
Yeah.
He used to be a bouncer.
Okay.
So stuff like that, that's the hook. Is like, now I can get these crazy stories out there because even if somebody doesn't like a bouncer, they love that guy or that girl.
Oh.
And so I started reaching out to collect stories, and I knew I was onto something because a lot of people I cold contacted, they didn't know who I was.
Okay.
But almost every single person was like, oh my God, that's a great idea. Yeah. And I realized quickly that it was that these are people who, if they're famous at all, they get asked the same kind of question over and over and over and over again. I'm coming at them, asking them a completely different kind of question. That's refreshing.
Right.
And also I'm asking them to dust off all these wild stories they haven't had a chance to tell for so long and like telling. So the first book came together really quickly. My original conception of it was as a TV series, but I figured I'll write the books as I'm trying to shop it around. I briefly did come close to having a deal with El Rey Network, which was owned by Robert Rodriguez, the famous director-producer. He had, at the time, I don't know if it's still on the air, but at the time it was, I don't know if you remember the old Spike TV.
Yes.
Yeah, it was like a bro network.
Yes.
It was like kung fu movies and fights and wrestling and guy stuff.
Yeah.
Well, it was a Hispanic themed version of that. It was aimed at the Latin market, but it was aimed at young Latin men.
Okay.
So they had kung fu theater and they had all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So I was reading in a wrestling trade sheet that Rey Mysterio, the famous pro wrestler, had been commissioned by El Rey Network to help them develop new programming. Now, at the time, Ray's a very good friend now, but I didn't know him at the time.
Okay.
But Adam Copeland, otherwise known as Edge, me and him go back all the way to the beginning of our careers. And he's buddies with Ray. So he put me together with Ray. And Ray, being the awesome guy that he is, he just immediately got me a connection with the El Rey Network to talk about doing it. And I flew down to LA, and the whole pitch meeting was like they were trying to sell it to me. That's how enthusiastic they were.
That's awesome.
Like, oh my God. And then I brought them the books and go, oh, there's books too. Like, they didn't realize it was books. And like, oh, you know all these guys? Yeah, I can call any of them up right now. Oh my God. They were so stoked to do it.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, we didn't come anywhere close to each other in the negotiation process. What they were willing to offer and what I was willing to accept for it were light years apart. So we had to shake hands and go our separate ways on that one. But that still let me know that I'm on the right track because I had a network that was very enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
So moving forward now, that was a long time ago. Now podcasts are a thing, and a lot of people, like this one, people are consuming their information more and more as podcasts. And I've been urged to make a podcast for a long time, so I finally decided to get off my ass and do it. And Matt Hall from Rogue Panda Productions, who's a good friend of mine, he's partnered with me, and we are currently assembling guests for the When We Were Bouncers podcast. And right now we got a very strong list of people on board. I've already got interviews from like Boss Rutan, the UFC champion, from Adam Copeland, Chris Jericho, Lance Storm, and MVP from Pro Wrestling. Tom McDonald, the musician, who's got an online following of millions and millions and millions of people. He recently got shouted out by President Trump. Like that's how popular he is.
Awesome.
Yeah, you just don't hear about him because he's not signed with any label. He's purely independent. So the labels hate him. The music industry hates him, but he's banking hand over fist. So yeah, I'm really enthusiastic about it. We're getting some great stories, and I am looking forward to putting that out. Should be probably autumn of 2025.
So are all the people on the podcast the same as in the books? Or more?
Not anymore.
Okay.
Well, I'm working on volume 3 of the book series.
Okay.
So some of the people are in volume 3, but I'm not limiting it to that.
Right.
So anybody can get my hands on. I'm reaching out to a couple people right now who aren't in the books.
Oh, okay.
But it was easier to just go back to the books and like, okay, these are the people. I know what the stories are going to be, so it's easier to guide them through the interview and learn how to do it.
Right.
So right now, I think everybody that we've got is actually in the book. So yeah, if you want to get your local bookseller to bring them in, or if you want to go on to Amazon, just When We Were Bouncers, Volume 1, Volume 2, and you will get some of the wildest, most freaking insane bouncer stories from a lot of famous wrestlers and UFC stars and actors and stuntmen, all kinds of stuff.
They're both so funny. I love them because as someone who used to work in nightclubs, I definitely loved bouncers because, you know, I was doing bottle service in nightclubs and
you'd be dependent on them.
exactly.
A hot chick doing bottle service.
Well, this is the thing.
Need a
It's
bouncer.
like but the bottle service girls, there was always like two of us working, right? And so I'd have one side of the room and she'd have the other. But we had our own bouncer because guys were groping us and trying to like do weird shit. And so we literally had a bouncer like right near us that would just fucking take out any guy. So like I love bouncers. They're so important, you know, for that job. And I know there were so many fucking crazy stories that happened. I was like loved reading your books. They were so funny.
Oh, cool. Yeah, and it surprised me too. Some of the people that I ended up getting, like Monique Ganderton, is a friend of mine, and she's she's a former model. She's an actress. She's the first female stunt coordinator of a Marvel Comics movie.
Oh, cool.
So an MCU movie.
Yeah.
First time they ever had a female stunt coordinator was Monique.
Okay.
But I've always known her as my buddy Mo, that I like. We worked together on a Steve Austin movie. She's and we worked together on this, and as a model, you know, she's a very pretty girl.
Yeah.
And I was talking about the project. She goes, "Well, I was a bouncer." I'm like,
really?
Get the fuck out of here! You were the bouncer, and she was the only white, not only the only female, but the only white bouncer in a hip hop bar in Edmonton, where crime was sky high.
Wow!
So it was all these giant jacked black guys and Monique. So her chapter is something special.
That's awesome. Oh, I love, so much weird shit happens in clubs. Like,
dude, that's what I mean. That's why the guys got to get these stories out. So,
totally.
So now it's really good. And actually another thing too, because like with roughly 20 years of bouncing experience under my belt, I went into it thinking nobody's really going to tell me something that surprises me because I've seen it all at this point. I was extremely wrong. The number of times my jaw has hit the desk, I've lost count by now. Yeah. I'll give you the first profiled bouncer, the first guy in book number 1 is Renzo Gracie, who's a legend of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community. He's a legend of combat sport. He's fought in UFC. The Abu Dhabi Combat Club, that's like the World Series of Submission Wrestling.
Okay.
He's won that, I think, twice. Like, he's an absolute legend in the martial arts community.
Okay.
And so I got him, and the first words out of his mouth when we started the interview was, "When I was 14 years old, I was a bouncer in a whorehouse in the Amazon jungle."
I remember.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my, I almost blew the interview because I almost popped in the kid. Don't say anything, let him run. Yeah, and Renzo's also, even though this isn't directly pertaining to bouncing, Renzo's also the first guy to live tweet his own attempted mugging.
What? How does that even happen?
Well, I guess it's X now, but at the time it was Twitter. So live tweeting, you're just basically posting things about something as it's happening. So while he was being mugged and beating the shit out of two muggers, he was like, beat him up a little bit, take a break, beat him up a little bit, take a photo, post it. As he's posting while he's being mugged and beating these guys up.
That takes skill.
Dude, that's Renzo Gracie, man. He's a bad man magician.
Yeah.
So that's in there too, just as a little bonus.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I never thought of it from the perspective of that a lot of people have had bad experience with bouncers just because, you know, my experiences were also great with bouncers. And but you're right. A lot of guys would really hate bouncing.
And, you know, sometimes it's justified. I'll be the first one to admit sometimes bouncers are the assholes.
But a lot of times it's drunk assholes being stupid. Like most of the time.
It's like cops.
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of bad cops out there. There's also a lot of cops who are getting a bum rap, who are doing a tough job and getting a bum rap. And an actor named Rick Ravanello, I'm glad he said it. You know, there's certain things I like to see in the books, but I never lead the guest. I always hope some guest will say it.
Yeah.
And this is one of those concepts. And he said, he talked about how one of the bouncers on his crew got stabbed to death in the parking lot.
Oh, where was this?
This was in California.
Okay.
And the next night, somebody was really getting up in the face of one of the bouncers, and the bouncer beat the guy really badly, like permanent damage.
Oh my God.
And Rick said, he said, look, I don't condone going that far overboard, but he said, when you're dealing with a bouncer, you have no idea how far he's been pushed.
Right.
He might be hanging on by his fingernails. You might be the 17th asshole who's pushed him to the limit, and you never know. And that's the thing. I was that guy one night. Right. I was working at the Purple Onion in Vancouver. This one, and I'm not proud of this, but this one guy just pushed me too far, and I threw him down 2 flights of stairs. I kicked him out the door.
Yeah.
And the door was quite a ways away, so it took several kicks. Yeah. And then I took full mount and I beat a few piercings out of his face in the street and left him sleeping. Yeah. Because that night was just stress and tension and violence and assholes over and over and over again. I was just fighting to keep it together. Yeah. This one guy decides he's going to make himself look good by messing with the bouncer, and it just, I'm not proud of it, but we're all human.
Well, you can only push so far. You know, you have to deal with so much shit as a bouncer. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do it. I remember like seeing all the stuff happening, and people would bring knives and stab, and like I remember that happening a couple times.
And I'll tell you what, man, you want to be treated like gold in a club, especially if that bouncer is ready to pop.
Yeah.
You go out of your way to be nice to that guy and show him respect and do whatever he tells you to do. They freaking love you.
Yes.
You are an honored customer from then on, man. We love those customers.
Yeah.
I have waved guys in past the VIP because I remember the week before when I was having a tough time. Like, oh yeah, man, I'll move. No problem. Sorry, I didn't want to break your rules.
Right.
Dude, you are not getting the red carpet treatment.
That's probably another thing, is that because I worked in clubs, because I knew the bouncers, I never ever waited in line. And so so it was always a great experience going to clubs. You just go in, you never had to pay for anything.
Yeah, it's the
bouncers let you in, right? So
I bounced in Calgary on Electric Avenue, and it was like back when Calgary had a nightlife, it was just like probably like 12 clubs on a 1 block strip.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, when it wrapped, it was like when everybody wrapped for the night, it was just fist fights all the way up and down the street. But we had what we call club courtcy, and any bouncer on the strip could roll up to any other club, and they'd sneak you in the back if they had to. But they'd get you in.
So yeah, I guess I just have to, but for average people, but mostly you guys deal with the dumbest fucking assholes ever. Well, guys trying to impress women too, that are just like really, they're trying, I don't know, they're slimy and they're trying to impress women, and they act like pigs to you guys.
In a way, it's unfair. And this is another thing that I really liked is Tate Fletcher, the actor. He was Lester the Skinhead in Breaking Bad. He was the Mandalorian, or one of the, I think it's Boba Fett in the Mandalorian.
Okay.
But Tate, he brought up a really good point. You know, he said, I had to leave bouncing because I was getting dark and it was affecting the way I see humanity. You see these people come in every week, and they're coming in week after week after week. No, I have to be here. This is my job, so I'm getting paid to be here. But you're coming in this same club every week, doing the same thing every week, acting a fool, drinking.
Yeah.
I start to judge you for that. I start to think you're a lesser human being. When I see groups of people doing that, I start to think all of humanity is, and they might be saints outside. This might be their one place to come in and blow off steam, and they got 4 kids that they're taking care of and doing a great job of, or there might be a paramedic who's saving lives. But I just see the worst side of them all the time. So that's another thing to factor in, is like, if the bouncer's kind of treating you like, obviously you don't want to tolerate overt disrespect or abuse. Absolutely not. No bouncer should do that. But if they're just being a little bit rude or treating you like you're kind of a dick, maybe just factor that in.
Right.
And, do what you can to show them I'm not that guy. And that's what I mean. Like, I've been deflected that. There were times I rolled up on a bunch of black guys once in a club where there were clusters of black guys that were a problem. Right. Every time you got to move, you're a racist. Every time you got to move, you're an asshole. Go tell them to move. So I rolled up on these guys, and I judged them based on what they were. And I said, guys, you got to move out of here. And the guy just gave me a fist bump, said no problem, and walked away. I'm like, okay, dude, you are absolutely getting treated like a king in here from now on.
Nice.
And again, it was a reminder to me, just by him being polite, not reacting to me maybe being a little abrasive.
Right.
He gave me a valuable lesson that, don't judge me because I look like those other assholes.
Right.
So, he did something for me too.
That's true. I mean, even working doing bottle service, I didn't put up as much shit as you guys did, but like it started to wear on me, and that's why I stopped doing it, because it's like it's just slimy guys like creeping on you all the time, and it's like you just have to put up with all this basically sexual harassment every single day, and like acting like they're flirting with you and like kind of laughing it off, and it gets like gross,
Yeah, I don't understand what it is with a lot of guys. They just don't seem to have that she's not into you gene.
Yeah.
Especially me, like now that I'm getting into later middle age, it's like I see so many guys my age trying to flirt with the waitress at restaurants. Like, dude, it hurts my soul to watch that. It's like, this is such a train wreck. She's forcibly, it's like a rictus grin on her face. This is my professional grin that I am fighting to hold on my face because you're old and gross. My dad is younger than you.
Oh, yes.
Do not flirt with, if a 25-year-old starts flirting with you and you win the lottery, cool, flirt back, but no.
But if she's working somewhere, she probably is trying to make tips.
Maybe she's working professionally.
She's trying to fucking make, pay her rent.
I never buy it under those circumstances. I'll be polite, but it's like, I'm not falling under your spell, honey. I know what I look like.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, so it gets, the nightclub scene gets like gross and wears on you.
It's a debaucherous, fraudulent, artificial, and atmosphere. And in measured doses, it's fun.
Oh, totally. It was so much fun until I was just like, I had enough. And I'm like,
it's like a really rich dessert.
Yeah.
It's like once in a while, get it in you, and then go, oh God, why'd I do that? And then don't do it again for a while.
Yeah.
You know, if you eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it's not healthy.
But if you're working there for years, night after night, then it's just, you get to a point where you're like, fuck this, I'm done.
You don't want to be mainlining that stuff in your system over and over and over again, man. Just once in a while, when it feels right.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to hear your podcast because it's going to be awesome. I'm just like, I love hearing those stories.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really stoked. I mean, the stuff we're getting in is great. You know, Tom McDonald, he had some absolutely insane stories. We got CT Fletcher, who's an unbelievable storyteller, man.
Yeah,
I love CT.
Too.
I mean, I remember reading about CT in Powerlifting USA magazine, pre-internet, way back in the day when he was winning world bench press contests and strict curl contests. And we connected. I owe Steve Austin a favor for this because I wanted him for the books and he never got back to me, which I understood. Everybody in the world wants a piece of CT Fletcher for some reason or other.
Okay.
So I was somebody he didn't know. And then I finally decided to take one last shot when we were Bouncers 2 together. And I sent CT a message and I said, yeah, just so you know, here's some of the people who are involved. And Steve Austin is writing the introduction. And I got an immediate response. He's like, if Steve Austin's in, I'm in. Because CT loves pro wrestling. And it was cool to be able to connect those guys later so they got to meet each other. But CT... They
didn't know each other before?
No.
Okay.
No, he's just a huge wrestling fan. So he said, if Steve Austin's involved in this project, I am absolutely want to be involved in this project. And then, later on, then Steve ended up having CT on his podcast and stuff. But that's what I love of connecting. Like I connected CT with another powerlifting hero of mine, Bull Stewart, who was like, that guy was a huge inspiration to me. We were talking about Bull Stewart, and I went down to meet Bull in his gym in Seattle. They say don't meet your heroes. Well, if your hero's Bull Stewart, go meet him. He's awesome. And the CT's like, oh man, Bull Stewart, he's one of the greatest of all time. So I put them together, man, and they're talking. So I love being able to do that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But when the podcast thing came up, I'm like, I gotta get CT. So I said, would you mind being on my podcast? And he said, under one condition, you got to be on mine first. I'm like, CT Fletcher just asking me his freaking podcast. Yeah, twist my freaking rubber arm. Are you kidding me? So that's another huge, I'm already winning with this podcast already because it got me invited on the CTs.
So you already did that one?
Yes, it should be going up. This is, what is it, May 14th today?
I don't even know.
It should be up probably around the end of May.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. I love listening to CT's stories and his rants. Like when I was competing and I was tired, I would put on his, I'd like listen to it when I was doing cardio and him like swearing and yelling and like ranting. He's so inspirational. And I'd be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm going to go train. And I felt so good. Like every day I would do that.
It's funny. It's swearing swearing often makes somebody sound a little less educated or like they're using the swearing as a placeholder.
He does it perfectly.
No, like with CT, like he was meant to talk like that. That's like the name of his podcast is the Fuck Y'all Podcast. Because he's Michael Wright, his co-star or co-host. He said, well, what should we call it? He goes, call it the Fuck Y'all Podcast. Just fuck y'all if you don't want to listen to it. I don't care. That's CT.
I don't want to listen to him if he's not swearing.
No. Right? Billy Connolly, the comedian, said the same thing. He said he tried to pull the swearing out of his act for a while, and he said it felt less honest. So it just depends on who you are. Like too many people swear too much. Yeah. And it is really a thing where I don't know what to say, so I'm just going to swear.
Yes, that does happen.
And there are some people that, like Chael Sonnen's a good friend of mine. You'll never hear a profanity out of his mouth ever at all. That's his thing, and it works for him. But with CT, he was born to swear. That needs to be part of his vocabulary.
It sounds great. It doesn't even sound like vulgar or anything. It just sounds like
it's part of the message.
Yeah, it's like gospel music when he's doing it. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to hear that. That's so cool. What was it like being on the podcast with him?
Awesome. Yeah, Michael Wright, his co-host, and CT themselves are just so easy to talk to. It's like I'm actually kind of maybe cringing a little bit, and I'm a little curious as to what I said because I quickly kind of forgot that it was like I'm doing this is an interview. It just felt like talking to two buddies, having a Zoom call with two buddies, and it flowed so smoothly and so easily.
That's nice. Yeah,
it was really great. Those guys, they're such a great couple of guys, man, and I couldn't be happier about being on the. That's a big thing for me. Like I hold CT in such high regard. Yeah, and now I've met Michael, and he's a great guy too. So it was really an honor to be on that podcast.
Awesome! I can't wait to hear it. I honestly don't know what time it is.
Well, I may as well wrap it up because we probably went over a bit.
Yeah. So, but thank you so much for coming on.
Anytime. I love doing this, man. I can't wait for yours to blow up.
I hope one day. I'm working on it. I appreciate it so much you coming here. So thank you so much.
Anytime.
And everyone needs to check out Famous Bouncers.
When We Were Bouncers.
Your Famous Bouncers on Instagram.
Yeah, When We Were Bouncers, Volume 1 and 2. Get it on Amazon or just ask your local bookseller to get it in. They can have it shipped in. Yes, on Instagram, I am at Famous Bouncers. On Twitter, I am at Mauler MMA. And watch for me in the Dwayne Johnson movie, The Smashing Machine, and Deathstalker, which I am really super stoked about. Anybody who likes those cheesy old Conan off Timu movies from the 80s and stuff. It's a revamped version of that. Director Steven Kostanski is a genius. I love being on that movie. Watch it. Deathstalker.
What he said. Okay, thank you.